Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Champions Cup. This one a quarter-final, and we have just seen a thrilling contest take place in the world of the Champions Cup. We saw the Harlequins and Bordeaux go right down to the wire, but in the end the Quins were the side that got themselves the victory, and that was away from home. It's a type of motivation and the type of performance that La Rochelle want to put on here, but they are up against such a tough Leinster lineup. Looking through, as you can see, just stacked with Irish internationals. Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan and Tyke Furlong. They are the front row. Joe McCarthy and Jason Jenkins going to be the locking duo with Ryan Beard. Will Connors at number 7. Big opportunity for him with the absence of Josh Van den Vlare in the starting lineup. And Caelan Doris there as the number 8. Jameson Gibson Park and Ross Byrne as the 19 combination, with Jamie Osborne and Robbie Henshaw on the outside. James Lowe, Jordan Lama and Kieran Frawley is listed as one of the players at 15 for me here, but Hugo Keenan's listed there, so I guess we're awaiting confirmation of exactly who it will be, but I believe it is Kieran Frawley at number 15 for Leinster. And this contest, looking through at La Rochelle's starting lineup, pretty similar to what we saw in their last contest when they were able to pull off the victory up against the Stormers. It will be Penvier at number 1, Latu and Yui Antonio to close out this front row. Delaney and Will Skelton, he was so evident in that contest up against the Stormers, enforcing the physicality. He was playing a little bit dirty at times, trying to injure the Stormers players, and in the end that injury list did actually lead to 5 of the Stormers players being out for that match. Number 6, they have got Cancerier, whose name I've mispronounced. Levani Botia at number 7 with Gregory Eldred slotting in as the number 8. Tawera Kurbalo and Hastoi as the 19 combo. Jonathan Dante and Olapano Sutini at number 13. Then Terry Thomas, Jack Knoll and Dylan Lades there and the starting lineup as well. So this is going to be a great game of rugby, ladies and gentlemen. Harry Byrne to the bench, and Frawley is starting at 15, and Hugo Keenan has pulled out. And also what up, Hamish says, a rugby and there as well. Welcome in. So tell me, Hamish, what do you think of the scoreline? Bordeaux 41-42, Harlequins. Where was the defence on both sides? It's more like the Grange. I feel like straight away you can look at a game and try and take a negative out of it, or you can look at a game and say that was a bloody good game of rugby between two sides that kept on showing different attacking threats that were extremely hard to defend against, and you got to praise both sides for the way that they played. Yes, you can try and say their defence wasn't as good as it should be, but they're through to the Champions Cup semi-final, in that case being the Quins, further than they've ever been before, so it must not have been too bad. But now, just a couple minutes away from the start of this contest, ladies and gentlemen, Luku misconversion similar to Lebok, and yeah, it's a game of inches, and sometimes, sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't, and I think for the Quins, they just showed how much they wanted it, going into a game up against Bordeaux where they were considered one of the bigger underdogs of this weekend. To put on the performance that they did, I think has to definitely be met with praise for the way that they were able to play. And they just, 14-0 up. No one saw that coming at the start of the contest. Looking through at the previous results for these two sides, they are still both, of course, in the competition. La Rochelle getting themselves the win over the Stormers, 22 points to 21. And then Leinster getting themselves the win over Leicester, 36 points to 22. So, it's going to be an interesting one. Like they've just said on the commentary, these two sides have a little bit of dislike towards each other. Of course, they can respect what the opposition have been able to do, but these two sides have become rivals in this Champions Cup competition. And both want to make it through to the semis, and the winner of this contest would be going head-to-head, I believe, with the winner of the next game, Northampton Saints versus the Vodacom Bulls. Your prediction for this match? It'll be a close call. Says Morley the Grange, I am back in Leinster to get themselves a win in this contest. Yes, it's going to be a hard-fought game, but I do see this one being a lot lower scoring. And I think that in a low-scoring contest, that probably actually benefits La Rochelle a little bit more. We know that Leinster loves scoring tries similar to the Irish international team. And when they are scoring, they're very hard to stop. So if Leinster can find their feet early, and yes, they've had to make a couple of changes. They don't have Hugo Keenan. They don't have Josh Van den Vlare in the starting lineup or off the reserves bench, but they've got depth that they have been proving time and time again, and they will be fired up in front of a home crowd here at the Aviva. They want to make a bit of a mark here. Looking through at the reserves, like I mentioned, few handy players for both of these sides. Ehire West coming off the bench for La Rochelle, alongside Bodien Laval and Joel Scalavi at Leinster's, Leinster's arsenal that they can use in this game. They actually do have Josh Van den Flair at number 23. I didn't realise that the first time, but he's actually just as an extra back. My apologies there. Kieran Frawley, though, at 22. McGrath, Jack Conan, and also Alatoa, Milne and Kelleher as the front row replacements. Harlequins, big surprise, huge surprise, and massive performance from the Quins. To be able to beat a French side in France is a rarity, and the fact that it was so close and going down to the wire kept you on the edge of your seat throughout the whole matchup. At Leinster, they are going to be kicking off this one from left to right, and we are now underway for this contest, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. McGreary Aldrit with the first carry of the contest for La Rochelle. Thank you for the membership, whoever gifted it to me. It's a nice gift, especially when it was my birthday yesterday. So they timed it perfectly. Hannah, hopefully you did have a good birthday. Any Argentines in the URC? There are, but this is the Champions Cup, but still the same. We've got Joel Scalavi will be making his way off the bench a little bit later on for La Rochelle. Clearing kick from Kerr Barlow goes into touch. This one's about 30 metres out now with the line out in favour of Leinster. Of course, a lot of pressure on both of these sides as they have been known to perform in the past years of the Champions Cup. This one, of course, has that huge big match feel to it. Dan Sheehan with the line out throw here for Leinster. Let's throw it to the front, but it's contested by La Rochelle, and they manage to get the turnover. The ball's gone backwards, so now Kerr Barlow with the big fend, dragged down by Jason Jenkins. Of course, he is actually signed for the Sharks next season. I like La Rochelle. I did have a nice birthday, thank you, says Hannah. That is very good news. Now on the short side of the field, a lot of space to work with, so Kerr Barlow decides that he is going to kick this one downfield, and he's got the massive man mounted in front of him, being Will Skelton. So that will solve any issues of someone coming through and trying to get that charge down. And now, nice tackle made. A little bit of a counter ruck there from Leinster, and they've got themselves the penalty advantage now. Back into the pocket, trying the cross kick there from Ross. Byrne finds their hands at Henshaw, boots it in behind, lowers chasing, and they will go back for the original penalty in favour of the Leinster side. So that was for not rolling away against La Rochelle. Go like this, and we will go like that. There we go. But 2 minutes into this contest at the moment. La Rochelle, so I may be just a little bit outside of the kicking range. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see them go for the corner here. It looks like it's going to be Ross Byrne to kick this one towards the touchline. Hi Hamish, says Karma Peach. Welcome in, mate. Hope you have been keeping well. Hope you've been enjoying the rugby that we've had already for the Challenge and Champions Cup. The last game was an 83-point thriller. This one, I can see it being a lot lower scoring, but I can see it going down to the wire perhaps. And come on, Ireland, says Karma Peach. And there, of course, both of these sides have found success in the Champions Cup, like I mentioned earlier on. They want to make it further than their rivals here. That's going to be a loose ball from Leinster, and it goes on the outside for La Rochelle. Jack Knoll wrestled down by Frawley. The late inclusion into the lineup. Another penalty advantage, and they get the penalty there, Leinster. And I think they've got the option of going back for the original penalty. Who do the odds favour? The odds do favour Leinster. In this contest, they are considered as the favourite heading into this contest. $1.30 compared to La Rochelle, who are $3.40 underdog. But that's still pretty close. I believe that is the closest game of the weekend. Now, originally, the Bulls versus Saints was the closest in the odds, but then the Bulls announced their side, and that drastically dropped their chances of being able to win. That's not to say that they can't. That's just to say that the betting odds do feel like the Saints have a lot more chance now. A massive forward pack for La Rochelle, 966 kgs. The Stormer fan is going to enjoy these teams without worrying about the result, says Ilmar. And that's one of the benefits of the Champions Cup. You get to see matchups that will still interest you even if your side aren't involved. Like that last game, Bordeaux versus Harlequins, that's one that anyone who's decided they're going to follow all the Champions Cup quarterfinals would have watched and probably thoroughly enjoyed. The amount of points that we got to see, some brilliant plays from both of the teams. And Stade going to batter Leinster, says Foosball. So what is your score prediction there, Foosball? Do let me know. Because I'd assume batter means more than 10 points in their favour, which at the Aviva would be a massive, massive win for La Rochelle. Ball's fed in by Tawera Barlow. They've got about that 66 kg advantage the extra week bonding will show today, says Foosball. Extra week bonding. Where did the extra week come from? Because I know that Leinster, of course, have... maybe because they're away from home their last game. Is that the extra week you're talking about? Of course, both of these sides playing last week and both playing the week prior as well in different competitions. Don't write off the balls, says Outlaw. Yeah, I think Northampton Saints would be very silly to underestimate what that Bulls side can do if they are firing. Nicely claimed by Leinster on the halfway line. Robbie Henshaw joining up with McCarthy there to try and bump through Lavania Bortia's tackle attempt. Noticing there as well, Jamie Osborne, one of the newer faces for Leinster in recent times. Big opportunity for him at 12. That is a high kick, but beautifully taken by Dylan Lades. Looks to run it back, but he's tackled by Robbie Henshaw. Already 5 minutes into this contest, neither side willing to budge early on. Lavania Bortia with the carry. Got a bit of work from Leinster and the breakdown, almost the turnover for Will Connors. For some reason, anytime I hear that name, I think of the Terminator movies. I know that it's not the same name as the movie, but for some reason, it just seems to hit my brain with Arnold saying his name. Byrne going off to Andrew Porter, who's just been thrown at the line by his teammates. Back in behind, charged down. And almost charged down for a second time there for Leinster, but now looking for the 50-22. Back there is Hastoi to be able to cover. And does get that ball downfield, doesn't find touch with it. Chance now for Leinster to counter-attack with Kieran Frawley. Tries to step. Aldred takes him down straight away. Jameson gives him park. Looks to shift it to the right-hand side. Both sides so strong defensively. They've got the penalty advantage for offside though here, Leinster. James Lowe near the touchline getting tackled by Tawera Barlow. There was a time, I believe, that those two men were on the same side in Super Rugby. Back in the day, I think they were both playing for the Chiefs. Now, I could be wrong there. They both definitely were in Super Rugby at different times. All Fatty says, Karma Beach, I don't know about that. I mean, they showed that physicality that they bring to a game can be extremely handy. We saw it in the La Rochelle game versus the Stormers. They were able to really shut down that Stormers attack at times. And it looks like they are going to take on the 3 points here, Leinster, after winning that penalty. It's going to be about 45 metres out for the first kick of the day of a Ross Byrne. This one will settle the nerves. There's La Rochelle the best. 46 metres out now. Who are the favourites to win in this game? The favourites are the Leinster side. They are at home. All of the home sides were actually favourites, and we've already seen one of the underdogs get themselves the win, being the Harlequins. So it's hard to tell, you know. This is one of those games that could go extremely deep into this contest. They've got 5 seconds to kick this. Ross Byrne does get it over, using up every second that he could. And the score will now sit 3-0 for Leinster over La Rochelle. The Fatties gave Stormers 5 injuries. So here's Outlaw. And there, and yeah, I mean, they'll try and enforce that physicality on Leinster, who haven't really allowed them to as of yet. I think that Lavanya Bortia and Will Skelton, they will be 2 keys for La Rochelle in their forward pack. Looks like Hastoi now, though. 8 minutes into this contest, will be kicking it off from the halfway line. We are now back underway. It's a high and long Hastoi taken by Henshaw inside of Leinster's 22. And met by a good low tackle made by the young Lucia Prop. Now, he had a tough game up against the Stormers, but in the end managing to score himself a try. Becoming a bit of a well-known name for La Rochelle on the halfway line. Another good take under the high ball from Dylan Lades. Pressure put on him by Jordan Lama. As Leinster went for the counter ruck, it was unsuccessful. Now again, the ball is there for La Rochelle. Trying to snipe round the side of the breakdown was Tawera Kurbalo, and he's been tackled by Jason Jenkins, who has given away the offside penalty advantage. Now ball's there again. Hastoy, quick hands, nice stepping from Ulapano. Junior Saltini, he almost went straight through it, slapped back by Ross Byrne, and they'll go back for the original penalty now in favour of La Rochelle. Now this one's going to be just inside of your own half, so it's almost a kickable distance. But do you take the risk at this stage of the match, or do you instead decide to go for that corner, get down towards that 22, and build towards your first try of the quarter-final? They always say in a final or any sort of playoff game, you take the points when they're available. But La Rochelle, they're going to kick this one towards the corner. Leinster decided it was just out of Hastoy's comfortable range. Jason Jenkins conceding about 30 metres there with this penalty he gave away. And now La Rochelle, they are going to have themselves the line out with Latu, 22 metres out from the line here. Big man Will Skelton at the front, but instead they go to the middle, nicely taken by the blindside flanker. Latu hanging on to the ball at the back here. Doesn't look like it's going too quickly currently. It's almost become a wall of Leinster versus a wall of La Rochelle, and Joe McCarthy has got very sneaky, sniped that ball out of the breakdown, and Leinster get it back in their position now. Leinster are favourites, says Michael Joyce. They certainly are. Bordeaux, they were favourites in their game. And then also the Saints, as well as the Toulouse side, are going to be favourites in their contest as well. Jameson Gibson Park puts the ball up high. Now waiting for this one to come down, nicely controlled over the sideline by Hastoy, but it is now going to be the line out for La Rochelle, about 35 metres out. But the rolling ball did look strong early on for La Rochelle. It took a little bit of time to get them flowing forward, but as soon as it started moving, it was always going to be a little bit harder to stop. Joe McCarthy just making sure the referee was saying he was all right there for going for it. But Latu, another line out throw from 40 out. 12 minutes already passed in this contest. It's going to be flying by Kurbalo across the Hastoy flat defensive line from Leinster. Try and rush up and shut down this La Rochelle backline. Latu tackled well by Caelan Doris. Kurbalo going to the left-hand side. Will Skelton with his first carry, and tell you what, Tyke Furlong has decided one way to get rid of a big man is tip him up and put him on his head. I think he landed on his back though, so he should be alright, although Skelton is going to stay down here for a little bit. Doesn't look like he's too happy at the moment. Now Kurbalo goes off to Yuli Antonio, another brick wall in this La Rochelle side. Kurbalo looking to the left, and now he's actually going to kick this one. That is a bit of a credit to the way that Leinster were able to defend, enforcing some physicality and making La Rochelle decide that they didn't really want to hit that up with a few more phases. It's kicked downfield from Leinster, taken just outside of his 22, now moving up to 40 metres out from his own line there. Dylan Lades, nice offload, goes away to Tini Thomas. Manages to find another one to Kurbalo, and now La Rochelle have gone from their own 22 to inside of Leinster's, but Leinster with Jordan Lama manages to get the turnover and the penalty one for not releasing and the breakdown. And those are the type of moments that change the momentum of a contest. La Rochelle on hot attack, and then Leinster saying, nah, we're not letting you do that. We're going to get that turnover and win the penalty in the process. Great bit of work from Jordan Lama. I think it was a big shot as well coming in from Jason Jenkins. Jordan Lama's just straight over the ball. I think he also had James Lowe in that breakdown with him, so both wingers getting involved to try and shut that one down. Just talking about Tyke Furlong's big shot coming in on Will Skelton. He's got to be pretty careful though, because it did look like he tried to tip him up a bit. And I'm not saying it was a penalty by any means. I think it was a very fair tackle, but you can't afford to go too much higher than that horizontal We'll see it there. You know, like that's close to a penalty for tipping a man like that. So you got to make sure you aren't getting penalised in that manner. Definitely if it leads to a try and then they look back at that and go, we're going to disallow it. Will Skelton, he'll enjoy it. He likes a little bit of back and forth. Finds head-to-head battles throughout a game that he can take part in. His eyes firmly locked now on Tyke Furlong as that first target. Jameson Gibson Park goes across to Ross Byrne, to Robbie Henshaw now, tackled on the halfway line. Gibson Park back across to Dan Sheehan, a try-scoring machine. Proved it throughout the Six Nations, proves it each and every week for Leinster. Kicked him high from James Lowe off his left boot, going for the grubber. Ball is curling, and he has to force it there. Teddy Thomas. And it will be the goal line dropout for La Rochelle, but a good weighted kick from James Lowe. If anything, maybe a couple too many metres on it. He'll also be thankful that that ball did not curl and go into touch in the in-goal area, or else they would have lost about 40 or so metres from that kick. But James Lowe chasing after it. Teddy Thomas just couldn't take that risk of letting that ball stay in the in-goal area with Lowe barreling towards it. Stoy now with the goal line dropout for La Rochelle. Gets Leinster about 45 metres out from the line with Robbie Henshaw. Across to Doris. Met with a good, solid defensive effort from La Rochelle. Gibson Park looking to this right-hand side. Instead decides to snipe to the left. Will Skelton lining up the tackle early. Gibson Park numbers here on the left-hand side for Leinster if they can get the skip pass going, but there was a bit of a miscommunication there with Will Connors, who's just taken a man out in the breakdown from the wrong side. It looks like it's going to be play on just for now. That might have actually been the case if they decided it wasn't a part of the breakdown, so it's fine. Someone's loose, or at least one boot down at the moment. Trying to work out who it is. It's someone with green boots. That one's just been thrown away. Oh, yeah, I've seen who it is now. It's Caelan Doris. He's lost one of his shoes. One of the La Rochelle players picked it up and tossed it as far as he could. And tell you what, it may not matter because Leinster now, if they can get a try now, they'll have plenty of time to find that boot. Porter goes back across. Support run from Jason Jenkins. 15 metres from La Rochelle's try line. Now Byrne with the inside ball. Joining the breakdowns, Caelan Doris, a brave man with just a sock on at the moment. Tell you what, your foot gets crunched if it gets stood on by those big sprigs. He'll be hoping that that boot can come back to him at some stage in the near future. Joe McCarthy, little flick out the back door, skip pass for Leinster. Jordan Lama looking towards the corner. Teddy Thomas manages to push him towards the touchline. Gibson Park back on the inside. One of the loose forwards with two boots on. Tyke Furlong now, big shot on him, getting driven backwards by La Rochelle. Dan Sheehan skipping around, trying to find a gap. Lavani Botia looked for the turnover, couldn't get it. Now to the left-hand side, Doris, the one boot wonder, goes one more out wide to James Lowe, and Leinster score the first try of this Champions Cup quarter-final. And Sharks looking solid, 3 wins in a row, outstanding team from South Africa. Keep going, Sharky. Says Blues, Nana morning, mate. Says Bavani, welcome in. 17 minutes in. And La Rochelle strike with their first try. And it's James Lowe who gets over the try line. And Sharks is playing against both sides. Says Outlaw. You still got to take the good with the bad, though. You know, you're not going to face a world-class side every single week. There are going to be errors. There are going to be disciplinary issues, which is exactly what happened for Edinburgh. And the Sharks made the most of it. They had 8 penalties against them, the Sharks, in the first half. They only gave away 3 in the second, and that was the big turning point in their match. Sharks class from an Irishman, says Karma Peach. A great finish from James Lowe. Caelan Doris put it on the outside to Ross Byrne, who had the quick hands. Doris is now going to get a shoe back, hopefully anyway. It got absolutely launched. Looking round for him. I wonder, do the players, this is actually a good question, ladies and gentlemen. Do the players bring spare boots to the game at all? I don't know whether they would. I know that sometimes they have a different type of sprig that they can use, so maybe you'd have your spare pair of boots in that regard. But In terms of just a spare shoe, just in case you literally push your toes through the front or it gets thrown into the stand, like, what do you do in that case? That poor side almost gave our Stormers a run for their win. Sears Blues, Nate. But now the kick has gone over, so they'll make the score 10 points to 0 here in favour of Leinster. A great start to this contest, although it's now reminded me of what happened the last time that these two sides played. And I know that some people won't like it mentioned, but Leinster were so dominant early on, and then La Rochelle just kept on going and going and going to eventually, I believe they won that game. I'm just going to quickly look back at the final score. I believe it was in the final last year. Yeah, La Rochelle winning at 27 points to 26. In that contest, we saw Michael Alala-Toa get a red card. We saw Leinster were up 23 points to 7, scoring a whole heap of early tries. But in the end, the second half for La Rochelle was a lot more successful, and they walked away with a victory. That is why the rivalry between these two sides has started to build. Hastoy, after winning the penalty advantage, will actually line up the posts here. And this will give La Rochelle their first points of the day, sitting 10 points to 3 now. But yeah, these two sides, they have had some great battles over the years. And I believe they even faced each other in the 2021-22 Champions Cup. Yep, in that final it was La Rochelle who won at 24 points to 21. We go the year prior, La Rochelle were able to make it through to the final. They beat Leinster in the semi-final. So I believe the last 3 times that these two sides have played, it's been in playoff rugby, and every time La Rochelle have got themselves the win. But Leinster want to change that. They've had such a good campaign so far, sitting top of the table in the URC. Jordan Lama now 22 metres out, going to be running this one for. Gets it away to Andrew Porter. Leads with a forearm, says Lavani Botia. Referee says play on. Jason Jenkins with the run from 22 metres out now with the quick hands. Jordan Lama goes away to Robbie Henshaw. Can't get through the defensive effort of Tawira Barlow. And dang, held up. See, Johnny MC, there's going to be another penalty advantage though going the way of Leinster. Now Gibson Park goes across, looping him behind. Pass one more from Frawley. He has the man with him, but instead he's going to go himself there for Will Connors. Did that blow the try-scoring opportunity? Lowe wanted to get over, but he is going to be held up there. And they'll go back for the original penalty. Stormers is an overrated team. Says Outlaw. And there's, right, so you said the Sharks are bad, the Stormers are bad. Outlaw, that only leaves you 2 sides. Which one is yours? I believe it's the Bulls. I believe, thought about going quick there. Dan Sheehan from 5 metres out, but wasn't sure of where the mark was. So was not able to take it quickly, although it still looks like he wants to take the quick tap here for Leinster. They want to be aggressive in the way that they're playing, although now they've changed their mind, or at least they weren't on the mark anyway, so they do have to wait that little bit longer. What is going to be the plan here? Caelan Doris in charge. That was low. Says Anazi Williams. Oh. Okay, there's a Waterman on the field. Okay, Gregory Eldred was just asking the question of whether or not there was a forearm from a Leinster player. Apparently they've had a look at it and everything was fine with it. But Dan Sheehan now thought about taking the quick tap. Instead leaves it for Caelan Doris. Little loop and play here. Referees getting involved. Got tackled by the La Rochelle player almost. Now Gibson Park out wide. Here comes Dan Sheehan. Puts the fend on Teddy Toma, who wrestles him down. Jonathan Dante joining the breakdown. That was down. Says John MC. Low tackle made on Tyg Furlong. Skelton wants the ball. He's been told no. Does oblige. Joe McCarthy, only a couple metres out from the line now. Gibson Park, he wants the try. That looks close. Referee cannot see it, so they are going to check this one, and they are not going to look at Porter leading with the forearm. Says Grant, and yeah, it did look like it was relatively upwards. Oh, a little bit of push and shove there. Leinster is on fire. Says Outlaw, and there as well. Just checking to see whether or not Jamison Gibson-Park has got the grounding of this ball. Looks like Will Skelton's still talking to a couple of the Leinster boys. Trying to fire them up. They're checking this here. That was not down at that moment, but after that, I believe his momentum carried him over. That's up. That's up. That's up. That's going to be held up. They couldn't have clear, conclusive evidence of that ball hitting the ground. Very good defence coming, though. Oh. Referee just got called a nickname. Carl Dixon, he got called Dicko by the TMO. That's the first time I've heard a TMO get or call a ref his nickname rather than his actual name. Interesting. Now, goal line dropout for La Rochelle, still 10 points to 3 in this contest after 23 minutes. And Doris, my favourite and also a friend, says Karma Peach. One's going to be kicked off. Nicely taken by Robbie Henshaw on the halfway line. Back across now to Caelan Doris, who has got both of his boots back on his feet. Where can you watch the match live if you're in the UK? Oh, one moment, I'll find it for you. Hopefully. Where to watch? It's on the Champions Cup website. Just loading up here. In the UK, it's on TNT Sports or ITV Sport. In Wales and Ireland, in Wales it's on S4C. In Ireland it's on RTE or TNT Sports. South Africa's Super Sport. New Zealand, of course, is Sky. And then Australia, I believe, is Rugby Pass as your options. But so far throughout this match, a lot more ball in the hands of Leinster. 65% possession with about 71% in the territory department. And we are going to get to see another scrum here. Just mentioned about the fact that La Rochelle, they did go all the way from France to South Africa, now to Ireland. They'll be a bit fatigued from the travel, you would think, and that is where Leinster need to try and really bring this game home late. Andrew Porter looks like he's been dribbling there all throughout his bed. Oh, Ty Furlong just giving a short, snappy punch to Dan Sheehan. Ireland front row trying to fire each other up. 25 minutes in. Scrum feed here for Jamison Gibson-Park and Leinster. They have got plenty of try-scoring options in that backline, whether it is James Lowe to get himself his second of the contest. Robbie Henshaw in the midfield with Jamie Osborne. And out on the other wing, Jordan Lama is there. Ready to go. Andrew Porter and Yui Antonio look like they're having a little bit of a problem here, having a stable scrum. It's like there's quite a bit of chat going back and forth as well between the four backs. Like I mentioned earlier on, this game, it's become one of a rivalry. Because originally, like these two sides, they hadn't played each other too often. Then La Rochelle started finding their form. They knocked Leinster out in the semis in 2021. They knocked Leinster out of the final in 2022. They knocked Leinster out of the final in 2023. And by knocked out, I mean they beat them in those finals. And now Leinster want to show that this year is theirs. That looked a little bit high from Jack Nolan. That it is going to be the penalty advantage in favour of Leinster there. On the halfway line, passed across Porter with the ball in mind to James Lowe, slinging past Jordan Lama. Great hands from him. Chips it in behind, chasing after it, and it just curls into touch before the try line. We'll go back for the original penalty. I think Teddy Thomas wanted the ball, and Jordan Lama said, no, it's ours. I was surprised if in 2021, 24. That's the thing. Has anyone actually thought about the fact that when we get to that stage, I guess we call it 21, 24, wouldn't we? Like 1980s, 1990, all those ones are nice and easy. But like 2000 is easy. What happens when we're in 2000 well, we're not 2124. Like that's a weird number to think of, isn't it? Be dead but surprised. There's cool story, bro. Looks like Leinster are going to line up a 3-pointer here again after the penalty was won. It's going to be about that same angle as his first kick. About 46 metres out on the angle here for Ross Byrne. It currently sits 2 from 2. Looking to make it 3 here, still within the first half. Taking those deep breaths. 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Likes to leave it a little bit late. And he's got that one very clean there, Ross Byrne, and that will be converted to make the score now 13 points to 3 in favour of Leinster. But if anything to go by past performances between these two sides, Leinster will not feel comfortable. And they can't get complacent either. They have to make sure that they keep on attacking, scoring points when they're available, because we also saw it in the game between the Stormers and La Rochelle, that late comeback from La Rochelle. And that is a penalty there to the French side. A little bit of argy-bargy there between Doris and Latu, smiling ear to ear. Seems like at the moment, La Rochelle are trying to bring some physicality, trying to fire up Leinster, as we do know that they're an extremely structured side, Leinster. And in terms of just general ruck speed and being able to put together great plays, they're right up there. They're a booze at the moment. Okay, he has to have released, they have said. What will La Rochelle do here? Looks like Hastoy is waiting for the kicking tee, so this will take them back to only 7 points down if this one goes over for Antoine Hastoy. The next round of the Champions Cup as well, for anyone wondering, will be taking place early May. So the first weekend of May is when those next games are going to be taking place. The winner of this contest goes on to face the winner of the Northampton Saints versus Vodacom Bulls. And then on the other side of the draw, the winner of Toulouse versus Exeter Chiefs will face the Harlequins and the other semi-final. They are the one side that have already confirmed their spot through to the next stage after beating Bordeaux in an 83-point thriller. The kick has gone over for La Rochelle, so it makes the score 13 points to 6. Now kicked off by Ross Byrne again towards the 22. Nicely taken by Tawera Kurbalo. He has been one of the main reasons that La Rochelle have found success. His ability to find the gaps, to create opportunities, but of course the world-class fullback and the backline to match has also drastically helped this La Rochelle team. Looks like Kurbalo will now be rolling this ball backwards. Crowd are not happy with how long it took. It's going to be charged down. Nice work from Dan Sheehan. And now Dylan Lays has to kick it downfield. Bit of an awkward landing there for Ross Byrne. Looked like one of his boots got stuck in the turf. Big shot coming in from Lavani Bortia, who absolutely charges, and that will be the penalty now. Tried to roll away, thought he had done enough, but was still considered in the breakdown. Sheehan getting straight on to that ball with his charge down. Now the decision for Leinster. Looks like they are once again going to take on the 3 points here. They always talk about it in finals playoff rugby. You take the opportunities when they are there. And that is what Leinster have been able to do throughout this first 30 minutes of this quarter final. Now there is a chance that if Leinster win this game and the Bulls can pull off the upset in their contest, we see once again another top of the table clash in the URC, but in the Champions Cup. I think a lot of people would enjoy seeing on a neutral ground as well, I believe it would be, but that one struck a lot lower from Ross Byrne, but the effect and the result is still the same. It's gone over 16 points to 6 now in favour of Leinster, but they are just showing this again. Big shot from Lavani Bortia. Tried to roll out of there. Gibson Park looking straight to the referee. And the coach of La Rochelle was not happy, slamming the desk after that one. Now inside of their 22, Gibson Park Gonna roll this ball back, has been told to use it. There is no boo coming from the crowd this time though, when Jamison gives him park. Takes a couple extra seconds. Now nicely taken by Dylan Lades. 44 metres out from the try line. Kerr Barlow goes across to the big man Will Skelton. Wrestled down again by Tyke Furlong. Seems like that is the head-to-head at the moment. Now off to the short side. Not a lot of space to work with here for La Rochelle, but they're going to take it on. Bounce pass. Goes off to Terry Thomas. Now flicks it out the back door. Bit loose, but Gregory Aldred able to clean it up. Taken down on the halfway line. Counter ruck from Joe McCarthy. Not successful. Great hands on the inside from the Lucia prop. He was not expecting that pass. Still managed to claim it. La Rochelle attacking very compact at the moment. Not going for too many risks. Just trying to hit this ball up the middle. Barlow goes to Astoy. Interception chance for James Lowe, but he does not get it the way he wanted to. And the penalty goes the way of La Rochelle for not releasing from Leinster. Crowd are not happy with it again. Oh, this looks ugly. This looks like maybe a rib injury for Astoy. It might have been. Yeah, Stoy, he went to join that breakdown and then just gets crunched in the end. But I think it's actually Lades who has stayed down with that injury. They will want to make sure that he is all right. He's been looking pretty good at number 15 for La Rochelle as of late, but 7 minutes remaining in this first half. We've seen 5 penalties against La Rochelle compared to the 3 that have been against Leinster. 7 minutes remaining in the half, like I mentioned. And so far, neither side have really slowed down in the pace that they have been playing. It looks like they are very happy to have a drinks break here, though, while there is the injury of Dylan Lades. Just gives the players a bit more time to be able to catch their breaths. There's Jacques Neighbour just walking into the Leinster coaching box. Okay, so Dylan Lades is actually saying it's from here to here. That's a little bit of a concerning one. I hope it's just a stinger for him. Maybe got knocked in the side like that. Looks like Ehire West will be the replacement for him if he isn't able to continue. We are soon to find out whether or not that will be the case. But anyone who is new to the channel, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got another game just around the corner, that being the Northampton Saints taking on the Bulls. And whoever wins this game will face the winner of that contest. That is kicking off in less than 2 hours' time. And we are going to be live covering that one on the channel as well. And the URC next weekend. If anyone was curious about what is to come for these two sides, looking at Leinster, their next 2 weeks, they have got 2 South African opposition. Fun fact, they could go Lions, Stormers, Bulls if the Champions Cup does work out in that way. But Castres, as well as Toulon, the 2 opposition for La Rochelle, as they sit currently, I believe, 5th on the overall table for the top 14. Leinster, of course, sitting number 1 in the URC. 7 minutes still left. And looks like Lades, is he going to continue here? I think one of the medics was telling him to try and spin his arm a bit, and it doesn't look like he's too interested in it. Jack Knoll going over to him, giving him a pat on the back, but it does look like he's going to be making his way from the field here. Now, the interesting part is, it's his shoulder, of course, but can he, I don't know whether they're going to call this as a HIA for the sake of, like, he could come back in the second half, or I think he might just be done for the day. And if he's done for the day, that is a big hit. They'll have Ehire. Oh, no, he's going to continue in this game. I thought he was going off, but he's decided, nah, I need to be out here for this matchup. Latu with the line out throw, 20 metres out from Leinster's line here. La Rochelle throwing that one in nicely. Shut down early by Leinster. I believe that was Ryan Beard through the middle. Manages to win that ball back. James Lowe in the pocket with his left boot. Also a huge boot on him. That one's going to keep on rolling though. Jack Noel, he's going to be able to leave it, and it goes all the way dead for James Lowe. That is gone. Now, I just read the lips. Wait, hang on. Scrum blue. Because of the original knock on, they're going to go all the way back, and Leinster were with the scrum. That is a massive reprieve. But yeah, James Lowe, the words that came out of his mouth was, how the did that go there? Or how the if did that do that? In other words, he didn't think it would have rolled as far as it did. Oh, commentator saying that Leinster got the rub of the green. If you kick the ball 70 metres downfield, that is normally at least advantage over. But because it went dead, it counts as the advantage still in play. So a 75-metre knock on there was in play for Leinster, but they have still got the scrum. It's inside of their 22. They will look to try and win the penalty. They're trying to ask for stability in that scrum. There is anything but there. It's shaken more than I think any other scrum has in this matchup. A little bit of afters there as well from the young Lucia prop. The Irish girls are 31 and the Welsh girls are 0. Says Richard. So that would be the first win for the Irish girls in the Six Nations competition, if that is the case. I think England also got themselves to win over Scotland earlier on, if I'm correct, which just leaves also France versus Italy is the other game. I'm not sure if that's already taken place or whether it's next. Now James and Gibson Park again will look to feed this ball into the scrum, which have been quite scrappy throughout the first 36 minutes of this contest. It's like they're fighting for head position on this near side of the scrum, which I think is what has caused quite a bit of the problem. That's nicely done from La Rochelle, and it's actually to Wera Kurbalo, although now they've said no, he was offside. Ooh. La Rochelle frustrated. They thought they had done enough to get that ball. There was a push is what the penalty is for. Has La Rochelle got a bit more possession now? Nah. They are still really struggling to get their hands on the ball. Probably sitting about 30% possession if they're lucky throughout this first half. Maybe 35 with a couple of the runs that we have seen. Oh, that ball. I don't think there was anything too bad in that one. Leinster will definitely take it and make the most of it. Jameson Gibson Park goes across there to Robbie Henshaw in the midfield. 3 minutes left now on the clock in the half. And almost up to the halfway line there for Leinster. Jameson Gibson Park with a sniping run. He's tackled low. Trying to get the turnover there was Gregory Aldred, I believe. In fact, that was Delaney. Now, James Lowe going for the boot in behind. That one's going to sit up much nicer than his last kick. Thanks, Richard. Says Gus. And Italy versus France game is tomorrow. Says Richard there, who's looking more dangerous. I would say Leinster on attack have looked the more dangerous side. But that was way too high from Gregory Aldred. Head on head, I think that would be. Nice offload to James Lowe. That was very close to forward, but I think it might have only looked forward because of Gibson Park tapping it himself. But that is another try there for Leinster. And some pass, to be fair, says John Mick. And come on, lads, says Robert Wood. But it's the second try of the match for La Rochelle there. Just want to see this last pass again to make sure that it did go backwards and that it didn't end up taking a bit of a juggle forward. Did it hit the La Rochelle player? The commentators are happy with it, but they also have very strong Irish accents. Yeah, that's unfortunate that I believe it may have knocked forward off James Lowe's. No. Or was it the La Rochelle arm? It could have been a La Rochelle tackling arm that knocked it forward. They're going to check it again. Dicko as they've called the referee. And Carl Dixon has said to take his time when looking at this one. It is going to be a big call. They want to see if it's travelled forward off a Leinster player here. Yeah, that's off Jamison Gibson Park's shoulder. So I think that's going to be fine. So Gibson Park, the ball was passed backwards by James Lowe onto Gibson Park's shoulder, right? It then hits his shoulder, goes forward to, like he catches it, so it's no knock on. And because it hit his shoulder, not his arm, it means that it's not a knock on and the try will stand for La Rochelle. Was there advantage? There was not, no, but they have still got the try anyway. And yeah, try given, says Richard Hardy. Okay, they're going to start the shot clock again now. Ross Byrne has a full minute to be able to line up this kick, and he is going to use up as much time as he can. Take it closer and closer towards our halftime break. And yeah, says Robert. And great Leinster, says Steph in there as well. 18 seconds remaining of the shot clock, lined up by Byrne, and he's got another one. Tell you what, he is striking them beautifully today. And it now makes the score 23 points to 6 in favour of Leinster. His screen is not updating. Says Andy in there. I think it has now. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, and I think it's when it comes to those disallowed tries or the tries that they check that they always wait a little bit longer before it comes up. They're just showing there what was almost head on head between Aldred and Frawley. Got extremely lucky that Frawley was able to push him away before the head contact. Now taken by Leinster inside of their 22. They've got 35 seconds remaining in this half. It looks like they're just going to go for a couple phases here to close out this first 40 minutes. Make sure the ball is well seated, says Gus. Oh no, in fact, James Gibson Park will kick this one downfield. They felt like the 20 seconds that was left was a little bit too long to be able to stall with it. La Rochelle now charging forward with Gregory Aldred. They're 45 metres out. What happened to Hugo? Late change. I'm not actually sure what it was. I think it was either sickness or injury that had him out. But yeah, I have no idea what kept him out. But all I know is Frawley is in the starting lineup because of it. He was in front of the pass as it was made. And lucky it hit the opposition, says Eric. And there as well. Ball's still there for La Rochelle as the halftime siren has sounded. And backline of Leinster is impressive, says Outlaw. They are always extremely quick, and also that ruck speed. Getting that ball out of the breakdown faster than any other club side around the world. And it shows each and every time when they get that fast break just how efficient they are able to get that ball out. We'll be surprised if La Rochelle pulls this one back like previous years, says Jimmy. But that's the thing. Like previous years are the key words there. They've done it many times before, La Rochelle. And they always, if they beat Leinster, they only beat them by a very thin margin. Right, they're going back for the original penalty. We saw it in last year's Champions Cup final. Leinster were 17 points to 0 up, and they went on to lose that game by 1 point. The year prior to that, Leinster were defeated by La Rochelle in the final. The year before that, Leinster defeated by La Rochelle in France in the semi-final of the competition. Hello from an Irish pub in the middle of England. Says Fletcher, welcome in, mate, once again. And how has Osborne played? Good future, that man. I will be honest, we haven't seen a huge amount of him throughout this game at this point. We've seen a lot more of Robbie Henshaw, but I think that's also because we've seen a bit more of a kicking-orientated game from Leinster at times. Definitely when La Rochelle put them deep inside of their own territory. But throw in now for Latu, going straight to Gregory Aldred. And the rolling maul of La Rochelle is about to start up. There's a new penalty advantage for dragging it down. And La Rochelle are nowhere the team they were. Leinster is just better even with a terrible team, says Bill. Well, that's the thing. Like La Rochelle, like they still do need a lot of credit. Because at the end of the day, they were the only away side out of all of the games in the round of 16. The only away side to pull off a victory. And yes, it was a narrow one. But they got there in the end. They're also ranked about 5th in the top 14, which isn't terrible. You know, it's a bit of a competition that you either stay right at the top, or you can kind of float around that 4th place up until you get into the playoff games. Need to control La Rochelle in second half. As I watched their all last meetings in previous years, says Sheehan. And there, but now Latu with the line-out throw-in. That's going to be an advantage against Leinster again, this time for closing the gap. Need big halves from Conan and Van der Flair. Short ball goes away to Kerr Barlow. And that's the thing, if Leinster score now, or sorry, if La Rochelle score now, they could be down by only 10 going into the second half, and they'll probably consider that relatively successful. Leinster, this sounds like they're going to be going to the bin very soon. They've been given their last warning. I'm blue, double D, says Robert there. And the last 2 tries you mistakenly called for La Rochelle. Get me all excited for nothing, man, says Francois. My apologies. They've been very close to scoring La Rochelle, and they are once again very close to being able to get over the try line. We're up to 43 minutes now. Going for another line out here. Latu needs to continue to get this one right. Is this the last one for the day or more to come? There is one more game after this. Northampton Saints taking on the Bulls. That one is kicking off in an hour and 40 minutes time. Now nicely claimed by La Rochelle. They aren't going to stop them from there. And they score the try right at the end of the first half. They are a side that when you give them a sniff, they will take it. And it's going to be the youngster again, Louis Pinvene, whose name I mispronounced, but he scored 2 from 2 in terms of last week and this week, the Bulls, says Robert Wood. And okay, I think Gregory Aldred was just saying maybe Leinster close that gap as well. The young prop gets another try. Let's just repeat last year's final, says Ryan Murray. That's the ball there. Definitely down, says the commentator. I didn't see a grounding there. Oh, that's on the back. I think he got it down afterwards. And maybe I talked too soon, says Jimmy Cooper. But that's the thing. That's what La Rochelle do. They like to make you think they're out of a game. And then they come back. And they always make it a contest for the second 40 minutes. That one has gone over from Hastoy, and that will be halftime now in this contest, ladies and gentlemen. 23 points to 13. Leinster do have the lead by the 10, but it's certainly not the lead that they would have been after. Will you cover IPL playoffs such as semi-final and final? Probably not, no. I haven't actually watched 90% of the IPL this year just because of overlaps, and also just the timing of the games is so bad here in New Zealand that, you know, the only time I get to really sleep to catch up from the weekend is during the times that the IPL is on. Excellent game on, and Big Will needs a rest, so expect a yellow card in the second half. There's Eric, but we will get some stats to do with this game, ladies and gentlemen, and there have been plenty already for these two sides. 2 tries for Leinster and 1 try coming for La Rochelle. Seen the 23 points on the board, of course, for the Leinster side. They have also been able to have themselves more attacking metres, 242, 4 clean breaks and 7 defenders beaten. For La Rochelle, they've had 149 metres made, 12 defenders beaten, so actually 5 more than Leinster in this contest, even with the limited amount of possession that they have found themselves with. Defensively, we've seen an 89% tackle completion from La Rochelle, and that is normally what they pride themselves on, that defence, stopping the opposition from breaking through. Leinster have got themselves a 77% tackle completion, so it's a little bit lower than La Rochelle for that first 40 in the discipline. 6 penalties against both of these sides, but Leinster are on their last warning just out from their own goal line, and I believe La Rochelle will find themselves in a relatively similar position as well. You don't want to be giving away those penalties in that position on the field. Hello from La Rochelle, says Le Footix. Hopefully I said that correctly. Welcome in. And bro, off topic, did you see the names of those who tap on likes? Curious? No, I do not. They don't have that technology on YouTube. So far in the breakdown, we have seen quite a few mauls from La Rochelle trying to march it towards the try line. And that is actually how they scored their last try and their first try as well and that half. But the first try of the contest, of course, being scored by James Lowe out wide. Both of these sides will be wanting a big one. My name is there, says Robert in this game at the Aviva, says Luke. It certainly is. And it's got a big match feel about it. And, you know, it's going to be interesting for the second 40 minutes because the benches for these two sides are going to be so crucial. Josh Finn and Flair. They've also got Jack Conan. Frawley starting this match, so they had to make that late change of Harry Byrne onto the bench for Leinster. Alala-Toa, the last time that La Rochelle played Leinster, Alala-Toa actually got himself red carded. And that is one thing that hurt them later on in the game, and that could be what happens again if discipline does not improve. For La Rochelle, Ehire West, he was close to making his way onto the field to replace Dylan Lades, but he decided he wanted to continue, so he is still out there on the field. But I should mention the next game that we are covering, ladies and gentlemen, is kicking off in only an hour and a half's time. That will be the matchup between the Bulls and the Northampton Saints. So if you are keen on that game, be sure to hit that subscribe button and also be sure to tune in for that one. We are starting 10 minutes before kickoff, which means in an hour and 25 minutes is when we are starting that one. First half, relatively free-flowing in terms of the amount of time that it took to get through the half. I think one thing that slowed it down was the fact that they played an extra 5 minutes. Neither of the sides wanting to put their ball into touch. In the end, La Rochelle are reaping their reward. So I clicked on like for a year or two on every joint. And you can't see how much I respect Us, says Naz Williams. Although I do know that you often hit that like button, Nazi, just because you're always on the streams and you always make sure that everyone else is hitting that like button as well. Connors is playing too good. I hope they leave him on for another 20 minutes. And Jordan Lama is playing well. So is the young lad Osborne at 12. And Jack Conan is on great form. He'll make a big impact off the bench, says Rugby. So we are in the 66th minute of the game. Wales have scored their first try. They missed the kick. 36-5 now, says Richard for the Women's Six Nations update. Yeah, I think that this game, it's not going to be split in that same way. It looked like La Rochelle were going to drift behind a little bit when Leinster started putting together some good phases and putting, you know, some points on the board. But you just can never count out La Rochelle, and that's why they're so dangerous. Whether they're home or away, they are a side that on any given day can beat most sides. Have ever sold out 50,000 tickets in a week. That's impressive. Says Rugby. Yeah, they absolutely love their rugby over there. Leinster up against La Rochelle. Like I mentioned, the last 3 times that game has taken place, Leinster have been defeated. So people wanted to see history. They wanted to see the momentum change. And that's what we may see here. Who is Jason Jenkins? I haven't known of him. So he is a South African lock. I believe he got called into the Springboks squad not too long ago, mainly to try and cover the injuries that they did have. But he is signing for the Sharks next year. So that is where he's going to end up. But yeah, he's a little bit less well known, to be fair. And Jake White should have chosen the Bok guys because Northampton isn't an easy team. Says Luke, although I saw something about the way that they had to travel for that game up against Leinster. And, like, that was pretty brutal. Like, they had a couple layovers and it took about 28 hours to travel there or something. So that might be one of the reasons that the Bulls have decided to go with a slightly less strong side. But they also still feel like their squad can get the job done, whether it's the top guys or those developmental guys as well. And Skelton and Antonio have either been holding out to last the 80 minutes or else they are unfit. They have been quiet, says Rugby. And here goes the vodka hidden in that water bottle again. Says Naz Williams. Yes, Jenkins says 1 cap for the box. Says Grant Sports. So who did he go in for, Grant? Was he the replacement for Lutiacha? Or was it... I'm trying to remember who it was that he came in for. Because I think it was last year that we saw him pop in for a bit. Thanks, Hamish. He's top of the tackle count so far. They make them hefty in South Africa. And also we have got there, Hamish, who are you up for in this game? Who are you up for in this game? I feel like that's some hip lingo that I don't understand. What does that mean, Rugby? Who am I up for? Like, who do I think's playing well? Is that what that means? Maybe. I think Jenkins played against Wales in the USA. Says Justin. Second half just around the corner. Sharks can buy the whole world at this point. Who do you want to win? Okay, see, I don't know the hip lingo, but I would say, like, I still think Leinster have a good shot of being able to win this game. And that's not just because they're ahead at this point, and Jenkins got his one cap in 2018 against Wales. Says Grant, was he a part of the squad more recently, though, Grant? I'm trying to think. I thought he was brought in, or maybe he was in the wider training squad, perhaps, but didn't get the chance. I just love your knowledge of rugby, depth with team and support. Says bystander and 10 points in front is not a big margin. They already come from 16 points against the Stormers and won, says Morna Lagrange. Yeah, they're a good side in the second half, La Rochelle. And, you know, a lot of the times you look at their starting lineup and you'd say second half rolls around and that's when they'd start to struggle. That's when they'd start to tire. But it just doesn't seem to happen. You might be thinking of Jean Klein. I know he was brought in as well. I think it was a training camp for the Box that we saw Jason Jenkins in. I'm going to have to Google it now. See what I can find out. Jason Jenkins, Springbok call-up, I guess, maybe. Springboks explain recall of Jason Jenkins. That was in October 2022. So they brought him in for the end of the 2022 season, for the November internationals. He was added in. I don't think he got capped, though, in that one. But yeah, they decided to bring him back in. And that may have been for RG Snyman by the looks of it. I think is the change there. He was in one of those training camps, says Grant. And La Rochelle's fitness will be tested in the second half. And there's another South African lock who went under the radar called JD Snickling. I wonder what happened to him. That's a good question because he was a pretty talented player from what I remember. One moment, we're going to do a Google as well. JD Snick. Did I spell his name right? He's only 28 years of age. He plays for the Kubota Spears, so he's in Japan at the moment. And there have never been Jenkins in the Bok team playing on the field. Says Franz Farming. No, he's got one cap, Jason Jenkins. It said there he got it up against Wales in the USA. So he has before played, but he's only had the one cap. He was also a part of that squad in the November internationals in 2022, we've learnt. But he just didn't get any game time as they already had the locks that they required. And Grant, I was at the game. Also haven't been fielded, says Franz Farming Adventure. But Jason Jenkins has a cap. Are we correct in that, ladies and gentlemen? Jason Jenkins, we just Googled it, and it said that he had been having one cap. He only had one previous cap. It was in 2018. If you look up the game between the Springboks and Wales, you'll see Jason Jenkins' name in that team. Okay, Hamish, normally spot on. Says Franz Farming. And also we have got that to know it was a money grab game in Sefo Land. I think the Bulls' second stringers can cause a surprise against the Saints. That's the thing, like the Bulls, as people have said, they have gone with a weaker side, but they still have more than enough capabilities. He definitely has a cap against Wales. Chill out the Jenkins cap, boys, says Rugby. And there as well. This is a long halftime break. They're currently showing jet boats here in New Zealand, which I mean is all well and good. We're going to see these two sides trying to rocket their way towards the semi-finals. The winner of this contest goes up against the Northampton Saints. Or the Vodacom Bulls, the winner of that contest, I should mention. And on the other side of the draw, the Harlequins will be going head-to-head with the winner of the Exeter Chiefs game versus Toulouse. Showing some highlights from Super Rugby as well for us here in New Zealand. You won't get at a look. Says France Farming Adventure. It must be weird though, like the fact that you get one cap and like he's probably done nothing really wrong. It's just other players have got the nod ahead of him since then. You know, you look at their locking stocks at the moment for the Bok and you got Ebenetsbeth and Ludiache Franco Mostert, those three with RG Snyman as well. Makes it very hard for any of those other guys, whether it is Marvin or Reem Moura. I mean, someone who I think has been pretty strong is Gerbrand Robler, but I don't think he's ever had a call-up for the Springboks that I can think of. And it's just interesting wonder if Snickerling would be eligible to play for Japan soon. He must have been there for a few years, or a couple years now. And that was some time ago. I have to say this Champions Cup has provided some really good games so far. Hamish, besides Peter Jackson, who is a famous New Zealand celebrity. It's a great question. Who have we had? Who's famous? We got Martin Crowe. Russell Crowe, sorry. Russell Crowe, you know, the guy who played someone in a movie. I think he was the Gladiator. It's a long half time. It is a long half time. I was just thinking that same thing. I feel like it's been about a 15 minutes or so and a halftime break. I'm going to have to look up famous New Zealanders. We've got Taka Waititi, who's like kind of famous, I guess, in terms of his directing and acting. Russell Crowe, Rachel Hunter, if you know who that is. We got Lord. And yeah, Russell Crowe's up there. Jonah Lomu is a household name, and yes, good answer. And Jack the Muss says Justin. And Gladiator Man says a cool story, bro. We've got another break here, another ad, but hopefully after that, we are going to be straight back into the action. Now, I should mention, ladies and gentlemen, there is still more rugby coming up later on tonight. You've already heard me mention it multiple times. I'm sure you're getting sick of hearing me say it, but just around the corner, we are going to get to see the matchup taking place between the Northampton Saints as well as the Bulls. And South Africa under 25 caps, South Africa A, 3 caps, Box 1 cap. There's Franz for Jason Jenkins. I thought New Zealand palmed Russell Crowe off to the Aussies. I think that was because he was dating an Aussie, wasn't he? Like, of course, I still don't know the full story, but I think he was dating... Was he dating Kylie Minogue? Was that a thing? I don't even know what happens in New Zealand outside of my house. So, like, I'm very uncultured. Sport, I'm not bad in terms of what's happening around the world for the sport side of things, but outside of that, I'm pretty useless. Two sides just making their way out of the tunnel here now, though. Ready to go for another tough fought half of rugby. Leinster ahead by 10, looking to extend this lead. And Kirita Kanawa, I have no idea who that is, I'll be honest. I probably should know since I'm from New Zealand, but I got no idea. Aussie claimed him. Also, Farlap says Blues Nate, and great answer, Johnny Lomu, a celeb, and to do with rugby. Says cool story, bro. Second half, it will be La Rochelle kicking from left to right. We're almost ready to go, but Dylan Lades has been taken off the field. That is for Ehire West, so that's quite a hit for La Rochelle. I did Kylie and Tyler. Nathan at the same time, hard mahi, mate. The All Blacks team, massive celebs. Says Franz Farming Adventure. And back across Dan Sheehan. Inside of the 22, hit hard by Will Skelton. Of course, he's going to try and bring a bit more of that physicality throughout this second half. Frawley kicks it downfield and he gets it into touch. Fantastic kick over the head of Gregory Aldred. In fact, it was Jamie Osborne who did that kick downfield rather than the man I mentioned. And lucky guy, and I forget Sir John Kerwin, says Justin. Line out now for La Rochelle, just inside of their own territory. Milatu again with the line out throw for La Rochelle. They want to get as much out of the starting forward pack as they can for looking to use that bench. Fire back in the later stages. And oosh, nobody likes my dry jokes, serious crowd. Says Nars Williams. That'll be the penalty to Leinster, though. Pretty impressive dating them both at the same time, though, Nars Williams, to be fair. The discipline letting La Rochelle down in that first half. 6 penalties against them, which was the same number as we saw Leinster give away. Andrew Porter doing well there And hurry up, La Rochelle, let's go. And Kitty is an opera singer. Mum loved her voice in the last century. And thank you, says Nas Williams. Another line-out throw for Leinster. They scored 2 tries throughout that first half, as opposed to La Rochelle, who only got themselves the one La Rochelle players to become gladiators. Says Outlaw, now going away to the right-hand side. Massive shot from Olapano Jr. Saltini. The ball's available. Gibson Park trying to win that penalty, but Jonathan Dante manages to move just enough out of the way that he doesn't end up getting penalised. Gibson Park going back across to Dan Sheehan as his ankle's taken out from underneath him. A short pass looked like it was going to be going to Jamie Osborne, who wasn't able to get another offload early hours for these fellas. Another AM for them. Says Blues now Furlong in behind Henshaw. Brilliant hands out to James Lowe. One more on the outside. Here comes Ryan Beard. He doesn't need the supporter. And that's going to be the try for Ryan Beard and Leinster, now their third of this quarter-final. This is coming for La Rochelle for injuring all those Stormers players, says Justin. But Ryan Beard gets himself the try. And it's impressive stuff early on. They're already on 28 points. Now, I know that Leinster supporters won't enjoy me looking back at the record here. But I'm very curious to know what the scoreline was in the last 3 games in terms of the amount of points that Leinster were able to get. Oh, time off. We got something being checked. So Leinster got 26 in the final. They got 21 in the final. And then in the semi-finals, they got 23. So this is actually, as long as this is a try, this is the most points Leinster have scored up against La Rochelle in the competition. So Kerr-Barlow took a bit of a knock there. Hopefully not too serious. I said that he got his head in the wrong place. Looks like a bit of an ugly one. Stormers made them work hard. Almost lost at La Rochelle. Crowd are booing at the moment. I'd like to think that they aren't booing the player who is down. I think they were more booing the coach of La Rochelle. Hi, I'm back. Haven't seen you in a long time, says Adam TNT. Welcome back, mate. You have been keeping well. Apparently a true story. Russell Crowe kept on talking about rugby to Ryan Gosling. Okay, it seems like Leinster are going to be going for the 3 points here. This does not look too good for Tawera Kerr-Barlow. Hopefully he's going to be all right. But there is a bit of a stoppage here, ladies and gentlemen. Just looking at the odds, the way that it currently sits, there is one side that is considered much more of a favourite than the other, and that being Leinster, definitely with that starting try in this half. And well, Jack Noel outpaced by a flanker. That's poor, says Grant. Tell you what, there's some pretty quick flankers around though, isn't there? Of course, as a winger though, you want to be able to win that foot race. Wasn't quite able to do so. Hit on the wrong side, says Carl Dixon. So it's nothing to do with foul play here, but Tawera Kerr-Barlow will not be able to continue in this match, and that is such a massive hit for La Rochelle. In fact, you'd almost say, like, that could be the game. I don't want to say it too early, but I feel like he is just such an impactful player. And he subs on, says Andy. A couple so far. We've seen Ehire West make his way onto the field for La Rochelle. Looks like a Leinster win, says Outlaw there. And Russell Crowe need to talk to Latrell Mitchell and Cody Walker. Trying to remember. Cody Walker's also at the Rabbitohs, isn't he? Greek State of Origin not too far away as well, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be covering it on the channel. 4 or 5 key players were injured in our school's first team. They lost every single game of that year. Injury is a says cool story, and it does hurt sides. Like, sometimes we underestimate how much of an impact losing some of your big players can be. I can't believe Leinster are actually hammering La Rochelle, says Adam TNT. They have looked like the better side. Benefit that they've had as well, like I'm not saying this is an excuse at all, but the benefit that they've had is their last game was played in Ireland. So they managed to get one beforehand. Like last week, they played up against the Leicester Tigers. The week prior to that, they played up against the Bulls, also in Ireland, whereas La Rochelle, they've gone from France to South Africa to Ireland in a short period of time, and that can take quite a bit of an impact on the body. Leinster taking this one, sorry, La Rochelle. Says Victor, you're brilliant for knowing what's going on. Says Adam in there. But yeah, that is the goal anyway. Like, we aren't able to show match footage due to licenses, but we always try and make sure that you guys have some sort of indication of what is happening in the game. Hold on. Just say you covering State of O. We will indeed. Me and Dad again. That is normally the plan each and every year. We've done a fair bit in the past. I think 2 years in a row. We have done some sort of State of Origin, but Te Wera Barlow, he is now on the stretcher. Just hope it's nothing too serious. Look like a neck injury and maybe a bit of head. And go on, Leinster says 3 dongs in the chat as well. Like I said, the game management and the passing from Te Wera Barlow is just something that sets him apart. And hopefully it's a Leinster win, says Adam TNT. I think from here they will now secure this game relatively comfortably. Sounds like the time is going to be turned back on. I love you and your dad combo. Your dad knows his footy. There's Naz Williams, 5 from 5 for Ross Byrne at the moment, the way that he sits. This will be to add the extra 2, put Leinster up to 30 points. But he has to get this one over. That is the first step, and I'll just say the score. Leinster might actually do it this time. Says Eldon, or just saw the score. Says Eldon, but that kick has gone over 30 points to 13. That is now the most points that we have seen Leinster score up against La Rochelle in their last 3 playoff games. Leinster have always been in the 20s. La Rochelle have always been able to just get that little bit more on them. But in this one, Leinster now bring up the 30, and this is quite a statement to have that, although La Rochelle, Hastoy making the early error, has actually kicked that ball into touch on the full. That's the last thing that La Rochelle would have been after. Lowe was loving it, celebrating that poor kick. Carl Dixon just asking for no movement. He's been asking for it all day. And every time that we've had a scrum, they've been like this, trying to stay steady. Three tries now for Leinster. They're talking about the fact that there is no Cian Healy off the bench for Leinster in this contest. There is 30 plus minutes left. Let's not forget last year, says Brian. See, that's the thing. You can never count out La Rochelle. The odds are certainly stacked against them now, though. How did Leinster score 2 points? Because it was a conversion after they scored their try. And now pass on the outside. It's going to be taken back by La Rochelle, but they'll go back for the original penalty advantage in favour of Leinster. And Ireland versus Wales game has just finished. Final score 36-5. So a good win in the end for the Irish ladies. And the entire match 22 has to be packed with serious quality these days. Even then, better hope your main kicker stays fit. Conversion, says Brian. Right, Ross Byrne. Looks like they are going to kick this one for the corner again here. And we're trying to decide what way they wanted to kick it. Go to this near side of the field. And a Byrne does put it into touch. That'll be about 22 metres out from the line. I was seeing 237 metres made by Leinster compared to the 150-ish by La Rochelle. It must be the best game out our ladies have had in many years, says Eldon. And yeah, that is actually their first win as well of the Six Nations competition. Sheehan with the flat ball to Doris, but it's knocked on by Ross Byrne. That looks like another another La Rochelle player has stayed down, and there is a Leinster player limping. I believe it's Dan Sheehan. Here's the last player that they want to be losing here. Currently, it is the equivalent of 14 on 14. Who was on the bench for Leinster for Frawley, so it is Harry Byrne as that replacement. Being taken back in, so no chance of a 50-22, although the ball will go out. It was taken back, so for Jordan Lama, luckily there, it doesn't end up costing them. This looks like Ehire West actually going to be the guy who stayed down. That's not good, because that is now the replacement of the guy who was replaced is now going to be injured for La Rochelle. And no, please, not Sheehan too. Yeah, he's down at the moment getting a little bit of treatment for that knee. Looks like Ehire West will be all right to continue here. Yeah, just fell awkwardly. Jacques Naneba must be chuffed. Says Herman there, and so the Bulls and the Northampton Saints is coming up next. But I don't think the Bulls will make it to the semis. What are your thoughts? That's the thing. They've gone with a little bit of a lackluster lineup per se compared to their strongest side. But there's still a good chance that they can make it go deep in that game up against the Saints, and then if they are close at the end, you know, I think that there's a decent chance that we do see them get close to over the line. It's a tough game though, and it's going to be a good challenge. I'm looking forward to it, and it is only about an hour and 10 minutes away. We are going to be starting our live stream in an hour, ladies and gentlemen. This game has run on a little bit longer than first anticipated. Now Dan Sheehan will have the line out throw. Morning, Hamish, brother. I hope you are well. You're all cool. Missed some good rugby, says Birdie V. I am doing well, mate. And yeah, there's been some great games over this weekend. Now, it's nicely taken by Leinster. Even though La Rochelle were only 5 metres out from their opposition line. Leinster, of course, did have that line out throw. Is South Africa seen as bad guys in rugby? Like that team no one likes kind of vibe? I have to be very careful how I answer this because it can be a dangerous game. But I would say, South Africa, the team people respect, the majority anyway, and they, you know, I wouldn't say that they don't like them, but the thing that makes South Africa different, once again, trying my best to list or kind of say this in a nice way, and we haven't dealt with it too much, but a lot of people actually dislike the fan base rather than the team itself. But, like, we have always found, like, awesome people from South Africa on these streams type thing. Like, we covered a lot of the URC. We covered the Curry Cup back when it was shown here in New Zealand. We've covered a lot of South African rugby on the channel. The Bulls have good forwards and halfbacks. As good Bulls have decent wings and centres is okay. Says Outlaw, and just a team that no one can beat. And Hamish well said, mate. You can see why I was walking on eggshells, though, to say it. Like, yeah, it's an interesting scenario. And now Bekakwe to the left-hand side. Skip pass coming out wide for Teddy Thomas, who's taken down by Crawley. Driving tackle also coming in from Robbie Henshaw. Will Skelton now with the carry. That's going to be a bit of obstruction, I would think, from one of the props. And okay, says, cool story, bro. And what a game Status versus Tars was, and don't get cancelled, mate, says Bystander. I was trying my best not to. But like I said, like, we've always dealt with some awesome South Africans on the channel. Like, you guys literally taught me how to say 90% of the Afrikaans names. And pray for the Saints. I like to see them play Leinster in the semi-final / the final, says 3 Dongs. I have to agree, South Africa fans here and supporters are awesome on the channel. Says Birdie V. Jack Noel taking contact. Another penalty won by Leinster. They're having a good game at the moment. They have come into this contest on a mission to change history and change the previous results we've seen between these two sides. I mentioned the last 3 times that they played off in playoff rugby, La Rochelle have won all 3 and knocked Leinster out of the competition. 2 finals that we've seen La Rochelle win over Leinster of the Champions Cup. But Leinster this time looking determined to right those wrongs. Leinster on a roll, says Robert Wood. I should mention we've still got another 30 minutes remaining in this contest. And Van der Flair is on, says Eric Davison. Makes his way onto the field for, is it Caelan Doris? Might be. So Joel Scalevi is not too far from making his way out onto the field. Same with Bodient. Hey guys, smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe to the channel. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We got plenty more of the Champions Cup as well as the URC, the 7 Super Rugby, International Rugby as well. All going to be taking place on the channel. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hi, Olin Hamish. Says Robert. Welcome in, Rob. I just called you Rob. I don't know whether you like Rob or not. I kind of called you a nickname. I didn't mean to. Just kind of slipped out. But welcome in, Robert. Hope you're doing well. Must say the Bulls are going to have to play out of their socks. Says Birdie V. It's going to be a tough one. Definitely because travelling from South Africa to the Northern Hemisphere to then play up against a side that they know very little about in terms of facing them before. It's going to be an interesting one, but Leinster now able to kick this ball into touch on the halfway line. Another line out, even cricket, says Birdie V. Even cricket, Pakistan versus New Zealand series around the corner. It's been announced that New Zealand are going to be playing England. In New Zealand, yes, Rob, okay, says Robert there. Now, short ball burn. Oh, that looked like a shoulder charge on him. He's got back to his feet. Jameson gives him park now. Going away to the right-hand side. There we go now. It is going to be the penalty advantage for no arms tackle from Teddy, who is the replacement. And the button is broken, says Martin Murray. And Ronan O'Gara had plenty of preparation for this. Can he blame any players or combos? I don't think so. I think it just hasn't been a game that has gone too well for La Rochelle. That was very late. We called it at the time. Just a cheap shot on his opposite number, or at least one of the opposite backs. And Saints didn't know much about us either. So it was going to be a liquor game. Go the Bulls, says Ockert, and Bulls left out 11 bot players, says Birdie V. It's gonna be a good game. Like, that's the thing. It's going to be a perfect opportunity for some of these young Bulls players to say, if they make it further, what's to stop them from getting those spots in the starting lineup? Like, they'll have to go, look, we won the quarterfinal. All the big boys were still in South Africa. We got the job done. And because of that, we feel like we deserve the chance to play in the next contest. What he said, got the Blue Bulls. Says Blues nailed, and that game is only an hour away as well. It is coming extremely close. Now, rolling maul for Leinster here. Still with 28 minutes remaining. Josh Van den Flower wrestled down by Yui Antonio. Lavani Botia look for the turnover now. Skip past. James Lowe hasn't taken it cleanly. 100% Hamish. There's a Birdie V. They've got the option there of a line out or a scrum here for La Rochelle. Starting to lose my voice. That is slightly unfortunate. We've still got one more game to go tonight, ladies and gents, which of course is that one between the Saints and the Bulls. That will be the last of the weekend, but next weekend we're back with more Super Rugby as well as URC will be returning. We get to see the Sharks in action nice and early on Saturday morning. They're going head-to-head with Glasgow. Vodka. Almost. The good old water. Gotta love this stuff. Now scrum feed here for La Rochelle. They're inside of their 22. They've got a bit of ground to make up. There's going to be a free kick though for La Rochelle here. Taking it quickly and booting this one downfield was Eddie Barton. Now back across Frawley on the halfway line. Great driving tackle there from Jonathan Dante, and Leinster need to hit the 40-point mark. And Jason McMahon says Naz Williams, and also Wataka says Blues Nate. Quick kick taken by Hastoy. Doesn't get it into that. No, it's early, mate. What's for breakfast? And a chicken biryani for supper. Sounds alright. Probably just a banana, I would say, or an up and go. about all we'll have for breakfast. And I think people shouldn't take it personally. South Africa is a pretty interesting country. If people knew how complex it is culturally and politically, let us say, yay, we're the best at rugby and hurry up. Rochelle, the Uber guy, is in a hurry. Now Frawley, driven backwards, nice work in the breakdown, but La Rochelle once again just haven't got that 2-0. I think they've only got one throughout this game in the breakdown. Good low tackle made by Levani Bortia. Now short side, Josh Van and Flair tries to accelerate. That's going to be a tackle made on the ground from Teddy again. And this is what I mentioned about game changer. And that is Barlow. The fact that he is gone. So far we've seen his replacement Teddy Itabara, and he's given away 2 penalties in this short amount of time, and La Rochelle have hardly mounted an offense while he's been out on the field. There's just such a big difference between the starter in Barlow and the replacement halfback option. Levani Bortia also putting in some good shots throughout this game. Now putting that ball into touch again here for Leinster. Still 25 minutes remaining in this match. They've got time to work. Looks like Levani Bortia is just getting a little bit of medical attention as well after putting in a couple big shots. I think so too, just to be safe. And Michael Alatoa looks like he's about to make his way onto the field alongside Ronan Kelleher as well as Michael Milne. And a big score will boost Leinster's confidence, says Robert Wood. Definitely because, like, La Rochelle, they have been a bit of Leinster's bogey team over the last few years. So if they can beat them here and beat them by a good margin, it just kind of shows them, you know, they have got it in them. Because that was something for Leinster that I think was hurting them last year and the year prior. And that was the URC. They'd get through to the playoff games, qualifying pretty much first, and they wouldn't be able to finish the job in the competition. And Champions Cup became a very similar pattern. Now Jameson Gibson Park, 2 minutes out from the line here. Looks like Kalen Doris is waiting for it. Does he get the chance? Looks like Jordan Lama actually wants to take this one on. Yeah, he does. It's going to be a brave move from the wing. Andrew Porter now around the side, diving over. He's knocked it backwards, and in fact, it's going to be a knock-on here against La Rochelle. A ball out wide, James Lowe, one more out to Dan Sheehan, and he scores the try. How much dollars get paid on average in this comp? I honestly have no idea. But I like to think it would be a little bit. Like having that trophy under your belt, going to help you that bit. And brilliant stuff, says John MC, and yes, says Robert Wood. So that will now be another try for Leinster. They will move up to 35 points on the board now. Irish Sharks beat Edinburgh 36-30. They certainly did. We actually covered that game on the channel, fun fact. They were shown the Challenge Cup here in New Zealand, so we decided we'd make the most of it. Cover that game on the channel. Gibson Park reminds me of Cobus Reinach, says a bystander. I can see the resemblance in terms of the way that they play. And we're on 45 likes. Smash that like button and subscribe if you're new. Says Birdie V. Yeah, anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we've still got one more game coming up. And that is going to be the matchup between the Saints and the Bulls. That is kicking off in less than an hour's time. But then I think my eyes will be well and truly bloodshot. A little bit more bloodshot than they already are. Now ready to kick this one, Ross Byrne. And he's hit the post. It's 100% up till this point. Now the 100% has been gone, unfortunately. Still great work from Leinster. Even with a missed pass in the middle there. Cleaned up by James Lowe. Fires it out wide, so the move still took place in the same way that it was initially going to. And they still get that try. Again, it's in beer time. Says Eric, and I'm so nervous for the Bulls game. Says Birdie V. Well, the good news is you don't have to be nervous for too much longer. 55 minutes away from the start of that one. Nice attack and run from Gregory Aldred. And that was Sheehan's last play of the day. Now comes off the field and Ronan Killaha makes his way out there. La Rochelle in possession. Here comes Big Will Skelton. Tackled by Michael Milne, who recently made his way onto the field as well. Short pass to Jonathan Dante. They just haven't used enough. What's the population in your town? Last I heard, you're on the outskirts of a city. So yeah, a small town, like the closest city to us, I think is maybe 30 minutes away. Or that's probably also considered a town, but population where I live is about 4,500, I think it is. Somewhere around there. My neighbours have been blasting Limp Bizkit the past hour. Says Justin and Bulls are playing with three number 8's Car, Heineken and Gourmeti, and it's a bit of a risk, to be honest, but it could also pay off. And no, says Robert, and that makes me more nervous, mate. Says Birdie V. Now cross kick attempted from Jonathan Dante. That's actually going to sit up beautifully here for Teddy Thomas. Goes for the chip in behind. Gibson Park is back there to cover, and now it's going to be the counter-attack of their own for Leinster. And Bulls game. They have all the South African fan comments international rugby fans appreciate about us. Says, cool story, bro. I must be on E. Says Robert Wood. Now 20 minutes will remain. I think La Rochelle were trying to say that the ball was out. Referee says otherwise. James Lowe now booting it downfield on his left boot, looking for the 50-22, but the ball doesn't curl the way that he wanted it to, which means Hastoi is able to kick this one down the middle of the field. Back to, oh, that looks like an injury for Ross Byrne here. Tweaked his knee. Again, it seems like a Spriggs got caught in the turf. And Joe McCarthy tried to go through the middle of the breakdown. That did not work. Got driven back a couple of metres. Nice stepping there from Caelan Doris. Looks like Gibson Park again will roll this ball back. Be put up extremely high. And Leinster will play in the semi-finals for sure. Do hope my Blue Bulls will also be in the semi-finals. And fun fact, if they were to both go through, they would play each other in the semi-finals. They are taking place in the early May, first weekend. Crossfield kick from Robbie Henshaw. Space is there. James Lowick sits up for him and he reaches out and scores another try for Leinster, his second of the day. Slate Home has been good recently. Bulls watch out. Says Eric. James Lowe gets another try there. Leinster bring up 40 points. And who Leinster was favourites with neighbour, a class tactician. Says Afui there. But 19 minutes remaining and currently sitting with a 27-point difference. And that game without a doubt. Well, that's game without a doubt, says Alden. Yeah, I think it's too little too late for La Rochelle. And I say no, because I know your area and I'm in the USA, says Robert. And the magic scoreline says Robert, and also total class from the Irish lads, says Dennis. But nice strength shown by James Lowe. Also great job to be able to regather that ball. And then Jack Noah, as much as he wanted to stop him, he just got an Aotearoa B. James Lowe, says Naz Williams. Now 50 points could definitely be on the cards for Leinster. La Rochelle can't stop this momentum, but Frawley now lining up this kick. This will be the first of his of the day, seeing as we saw that injury of Ross Byrne. He made his way from the field. I don't think it's too serious, but you got to be careful. And that one's gone and hit the post for Leinster and Frawley, and it does not go over. Bounces back out into the field of play. The score will remain at 40 points to 13. And who would have thought it would go like this? Says Eldon. Yeah, Leinster have just looked like their next level throughout this game. So there is a knock on now against Leinster. I did Eldon. Says Bill or Whitlingham. Ball's available for La Rochelle to use again here, going off to the right-hand side, and it's a knock-on, but they'll go back for the original knock-on from Leinster. Like a bit of a miscommunication there between a couple of the Leinster players and ageing La Rochelle squad. They need to get out the check, says Afui. And there as well. Although we are still talking about a La Rochelle side that were able to win a game away from home in the round of 16. The only side to be able to do so. Beating the Stormers to knock them out of the competition. We also have to look at the fact that 3 previous years, yes, they're getting older now, but they are still a side that when it matters, they can pull off upsets. It's just not going to be one of those games. Do you think Leinster will take their strongest team to South Africa for their 2 URC games, seeing that semi-final is just a week later? I think it's a very tricky one because last year I believe they didn't take their strongest side and then they lost one of the semi-finals, or they didn't do something right. I think it might have been actually the final, and they didn't take their best side to South Africa, which meant that they were a little bit undercooked. That might have been the year prior, in fact. My apologies there. And that's going to be the penalty now to La Rochelle, which we are very close into moving over to New Zealand. Everything looks good. We're down to the English exam, and then we're done. We have a few places we are looking at, and it's Hamilton, Waihi Beach, and Wellington, says Birdie V. Nice. I feel like you'll like New Zealand. It's pretty laid back, depending on whereabouts you are, of course. I was worried. I thought La Rochelle would have the mental edge on us today, to be honest. Says Alden. Now, line out here for La Rochelle. I think Leinster have shown that they just had to fight through the previous results, if that makes sense. Like, they had to take that out of their mind, and they have shown exactly why they are one of the favourites to go on and win this competition. Put back into the pocket there. Downfield and booted into that. Time for one more try. Time for 2. They've still got 15 minutes remaining in this contest. Here comes Jack Knoll. Trying to go through, but he is taken down by Ross Maloney. I am close by you in those areas, says BDV. See, I'm in the South Island, though. Like, North Island is the main area that you're looking, I believe. But, yeah, I am in the South Island, which isn't really that far away, though, overall. Now, Hastoy. That one towards the corner. That'll be about 10 so metres out. Surprised Wallabies never considered Kerr Barlow. Says Afui there. He's a class player, that is for sure. And we've seen the difference that it's made just having him off the field for the second half. Looks like Will Skelton is done for the day as well. Hasn't quite had that same impact that he had in the game up against the Stormers player, Bay of Plenty brother. And which city is the best place to live in New Zealand if you don't have a car? You probably do need a small town of some sort so that you can walk everywhere. And then that's the thing as well, like there are the electric scooters if you're in a little bit more of a city. So, yeah, it just depends on what you really like and what you want in a way. And Keenan being ruled out last minute was also a worry. There's Alden, now pass on the outside to Jack Knoll. Awesome, will definitely make a plan to visit. There's Birdie V. Ball is there again now. Set across to the left-hand side for La Rochelle. They've only scored 1 try throughout this game. Oh, and that just showed why. That wasn't the best play. It's kicked downfield by Leinster off the loose ball of La Rochelle. 2 Leinster players chasing hard. It's going to be a knock-on there from Jordan Lama. They're going to continue playing by the looks of it. No one's called it as one. That's a knock-on there from La Rochelle as well. Now, we've got to remember the TMO can only rule out a try for a knock-on if it's within 3 phases. Maybe I can set up at Uber Eats or Mickey D's service in the area, says BTV. I don't know whether you get enough service, to be honest. Right, they've just realised that Leinster knocked that ball on. So it is going to be the scrum feed now for La Rochelle. But yeah, like, with only 4,000-ish population, like, you're probably going to struggle to get enough business. Like, there's been so many places that have opened in the town and then closed in the town because they just haven't been able to get that kind of, I guess, support. If that makes sense. New York, as many taxis in the States, says Outlaw. And all that smack talk from La Rochelle, all for nothing now. They're getting their asses whipped here. Says CK, and we don't have electric scooters or those type of facilities in South Africa. Forget you guys are a developed country. Says Cool Story Bro. Although the closest electric scooter to me is 3 hours away. or I think 2 hours away. So like, it depends on where you are. Like a city is going to have different things available than where I am. Like the only way you get an electric scooter in my town is if you buy one and then you have it yourself. But no one one guy had one. He went down the main street one time I saw. Bournemouth 2, United 2. In the 81st minute, there's a birdie. Going to be another penalty going the way of La Rochelle with 11.5 minutes remaining. Seems like the end is inevitable here, and we're just waiting to find out how badly the scoreline is going to be split between these two sides. I think Michael Milne was the man who was penalised in that scrum for hinging. Now, line out throw for La Rochelle. We have taser guns, says Robert Wood. How you going surfing at Waihi Beach, Birdie? Back across again. High west short ball. Tack and run there from Tanga. Was decent off the bench in the last game. Well, you have bike lanes, right? So we have so many riders that get hit here. Once again, depends on where you are. Like here where I am, we don't. But I think the roads are almost wide enough that you don't get hit. Unless someone's trying to hit you. I don't think the town up the road or down south has a bike lane either that I know of. So yeah, it just depends on where you are again. So Hamish, if you have to order a takeaway, do you call or collect? Do you go and order, says BDV? Well, we don't actually have like many takeaway places here. Like we have a fish and chip shop, which you can ring up and then you go and get it. They don't do deliveries. But like other than that, like the nearest KFC or McDonald's is 30 minutes away where we are. Like it's quite nice though, because it's just a small town. Nice and quiet. What's your view, Hamish, on the Bulls changing 14 players for the Northampton game? It's a risk, and we're going to have to wait and see whether or not there is a reward involved in that one. 43 minutes away from kickoff of that contest. We're going to be keeping a close eye on that one. Nice inside ball from La Rochelle. That was beautiful play. Hustoi just couldn't quite get that pass that he was after, and then it's knocked on by that Teddy fellow as the replacement halfback. He's butchered it again. And Tuckies did beat Matties in Cricket Club Championship in South Africa. It was a good game. Says Outlaw. Looks like High West is still struggling with that knee injury. That's going to be another line out for La Rochelle. That's a great thing, Hamish. Says Naz Williams. Okay, I see. Says Birdie V. But I think there might be one place that delivers, and that's a pub. I think that they will drop a pizza to your house. I'm not sure, though. Kayla Norris. Looks like he's going to make his way from the field, and that is for Jack Conan, who is going to be out there overthrown by La Rochelle, cleaned up by Leinster. And Jack Conan already straight into his work, getting his first touch. Now Osborne trying the step, doesn't quite get through. Right-hand side now for Jordan Lamond, really tired looking team. And then lads from La Rochelle, game too much for them. Well, that's the thing. Like last week they played in South Africa. Then the week prior to that they played in France. Now they're playing in Ireland. So like there's a really short turnaround for them. So you got to feel for them in some regards, but then saying that is just what happens when you are in the Champions Cup and home field advantage. That's why it is called and it is considered an advantage, because you don't have to do as much travelling during these important games. Bulls will be fresh. Says Robert. Well, a lot of the guys in their team should be, because they haven't played in a long time. It looks like now Luke McGrath making his way onto the field. That is for Jameson Gibson Park. Has once again had a fantastic game. Definitely up there for man of the match contender alongside James Lowe, who has looked solid and keep safe out there. Brother Birdie V, sure, to enjoy the New Zealand bakeries. Yeah, the pies over here are very good. So maybe I can come and open a KFC or a Burger King or McDonald's in your area. Says Birdie V. It would take a while. I think you'd have to build the building first, though, because I don't think we've really got any buildings that would be suitable for a McDonald's or anything like that. Put one on the main road, like the main highway, maybe. That way you're at least getting people from both directions. Whereas, like, to get to our town, you actually have to turn off. So that's why we don't get many people coming through. Is because to go pretty much up the South Island, you don't need to come through where I live. Leinster taking the Champions Cup this season. Says Victor. Of course, their next game will be up against either the Saints or the Bulls. On the other side of the draw, Harlequins taking on the winner of Toulouse versus Exeter Chiefs. And I make you my manager. I don't know about that. I don't know the first thing about running a McDonald's or a KFC. Gotta give it a crack though sometimes, don't you? I want a quick reset here from Carl Dixon. 6.5 minutes remaining. Like I mentioned, at this point of the match, it is just more of a case of what is the end score going to be rather than who is going to win. Leinster have secured this victory with 27 points in their favour at the moment. The penalty goes the way of La Rochelle. But I think the big thing here is they haven't been able to turn their penalties into anything substantial. Why not? Says Birdie V. Well, the Blue Bulls team did play for the Bulls. For experienced side, says Outlaw. Yeah, I only got customer service in a supermarket under my belt. That's about it. And here, will you, for God's sake, stop talking about food? My tummy is starting to rumble now, says Dennis. Because it is evening for you guys in Ireland and South Africa, isn't it? And Leinster back 5 are still on. Says Eric. And New Zealand bakeries will make you forget about KFC and McDonald's. Sorry, Dennis. Going off to the left-hand side now. EIL West first receiver. Getting the pass away, Jonathan Dante. Never looked like he was going to pass it, and Van den Flair has been able to drag him down now around the side of the breakdown. Gregory Aldred. Looks like La Rochelle want that one last try. It'll be a consolation, but they'll still well and truly take it if it does present itself. Hey, you guys eat a Popeye soon, says Robert. To the right-hand side again for La Rochelle. 45 metres out from the line. EIL West skip pass to Gregory Aldred. This Leinster defence has been impeccable throughout this game. Now, out wide, Eddie Thomas puts in a big fend and steps around James Lowe. But then he goes through the middle of the breakdown, trying to get the turnover, wasn't able to. Tanga now, heading it up. It looks like Caelan Doris is still on the field. I wonder who went off then. I thought it was him who went off initially. And also love a nice juicy burger and french fries. Homer Simpson, says Dennis. It's currently 8:21 in Johannesburg. What time is it over there in New Zealand at the moment? We are sitting 6:22 a.m. So we have done yet again another all-nighter. And that's a 50-22 for La Rochelle. Okay, it's going to be a tap for La Rochelle. But yeah, we've got one more game around the corner. The Saints versus the Bulls. And a quick hello to Hamish and all Kiwi Lads Rugby Rockers listening. And also from Cape Town. Says Ruth. Welcome in again. It's going to take me a little bit of time to adjust to the new time zones because we did, of course, have daylight saving here in New Zealand, which puts us 10 hours ahead, I believe. Hey, yo, how do you do that tag on someone's commentary highlight? I think it's to do with the @ symbol. You got to put the @ and then their name. Drink energy drinks at all to keep it real. I have never had like a Red Bull or a V or a Monster or whatever else you can call an energy drink. I've also never had tea or coffee, so I'm a bit weird, to be honest. But you guys already knew that. 5 metres out, stuck in the breakdown in the mall. And Leinster will get themselves another free kick, or in this case, it is a scrum feed. And in their favour, McCarthy celebrating big time. He's saying he's got the ball, and now there's push and shove happening. So McCarthy trying to get into the middle of it as well. That was slightly his fault. He tried to fire up La Rochelle and it worked. And fell for Rog. He was a class player for Ireland, great player. And Jägermeister and Red Bull, and Yerka's healthy as well. If you have a steak once a month. Says Gold Story Brown, love you, Roof. Says Naz Williams there. I'm completely exhausted. Love you all. And see, Hamish never disappoints. Hope you are keeping well. You seen some cold, windy weather from Cape Town up Durban. Here's Brian. It's going to be the scrum feed here for Leinster again now. Yeah, so it looks like it was Ronan Kelleher. Yeah, he decided, that's the thing. Ronan Kelleher, he was holding down one of the La Rochelle players, so the La Rochelle replacement halfback pushed him away so that he could help his teammate up. Then Ronan Kelleher still decided he would target the smallest man on the field and try and push and shove him around a little bit. Probably caught up in the moment there. And I'm going to flood the keys here. Withdrawal, all that talk about food. Sugar drinks will burn Hamish out. Extra sugar is a lie. Says, cool story, bro. Rosh Burn, he got himself the player of the match. It's the celebrations from his teammates. And hey guys, let's give it to Hamish. What a legend, awesome stream. Thank you, Hamish. Says Birdie V. And of course, we've still got one more around the corner. That is only 25 minutes away from starting, ladies and gentlemen. And that will be the game between the Bulls and Northampton. Another free kick here for Leinster. Sounds like it was the tight head who was the problem. So it is going to be the free kick. Looks like Harry Byrne will just kick this one downfield into touch. Good game. Leinster deserve the win, says Outlaw. Yeah, they've played a much better game of rugby out of these two sides. In fact, Harry Byrne does not target the touchline. Instead, will kick this ball in the field of play. Big run forward from Gregory Aldred. And Ronan Kelleher taking a bit of heat contact there as well. And Hamish is our hero. Says, Brian, I don't know about hero. I mean, I just talk a lot and go live a lot on the channel. But you guys are the ones who make these live streams what they are. Without you guys in the chat, they just wouldn't be the same. And Brian, it's bloody freezing. And one more try, says Robert. Ball's there, in off his feet, Joe McCarthy. He is going to be penalised for that one. And La Rochelle bust their way through. They'll go back for another penalty there for La Rochelle. 90 seconds left on the clock. Jack Noel taking the quick tap, trying to break his way through. Good tackle made low from Luke McGrath. Numbers on the outside. Teddy Thomas cuts back in. Tackled by Jordan Lama. And the turnover was there for Lama, but the knee was down. Was the best type of dinner do you love, Hamish? Do enjoy a good bit of chicken, you know. Plus some good, like, roasted spuds. Or potatoes, because some people might not know what spuds are. Yeah, like roasted potatoes, they go well. I actually cooked them for the fam before the Super Rugby live stream. They took about an hour and a half, but they were magnifique. Is that French? I think magnifique might be French, so that kind of works. And the thing is, because of the timing, I didn't actually get to eat them before the Super Rugby live stream, so I had them cold afterwards. So I think everyone else, they got to enjoy them at the best time. But they were still decent, even though they were cold. Loose ball, Aldred, giving it away to Josh Vandenflare. Going to have spicy chicken strips, mashed potatoes with a gin and tonic. Cheers. Cheers, Ruth. Now, kick it in behind for La Rochelle. They have to chase back into their 22. Hastoy. Ball off to Teddy Thomas. Great tackle made by Frawley. And Hamish look as fabulous as usual, rocking the rugby world. There's Ruth. The 80-minute siren is just around the corner. Will La Rochelle kick this ball into touch? He's getting cleaned out there, James Lowe, from that breakdown. What do they decide here? It looks like they're going back into the pocket. They will boot this ball downfield. But they didn't want to put it into touch. Instead, Leinster have the chance. Harry Byrne will kick this one out. And Leinster have won this match. And for the first time in 4 years, they will knock La Rochelle out of the competition rather than the other way around. Well deserved, Leinster, and agreed, says Robert there. But brilliant win for Leinster. Was the weather okay? It was a perfect day for rugby. Little bit of sun, good conditions, and Leinster were just the better side on the day. 40 points to 13. And into a relatively comfortable victory. Warriors versus Manly draw jokes. Says Naz Williams, and thanks, Nate. Cool dudes, giving it everything. And also thank you, Hamish. Says Robert in there as well. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Like I said, the next live stream will be 20 minutes away. We are, of course, going to be covering that one on the channel between the Saints and the Vodacom Bulls. So be sure to pop over to their next live stream. But I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you didn't enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I will see you all for the next one.